What are some of the fastest knockouts in sports? Because the SEC knocks out the ACC in the first night of the SEC ACC Challenge.
John Calipari weathers the storm to get his first P5 win with Arkansas. Kentucky loses a close one in Clemson, and several SEC teams looked absolutely dominant.
Absolutely. We're recapping all of the action in this rebound edition of the Hoops Southbound Show. So I don't think anybody necessarily had just this thorough of a beating and their bingo card for the SEC ACC challenge here on night one. I mean, we both have pretty high projections for the ACC or pretty high picks for this, but I don't know if we were all really just ready to accept a 9-1 lead in this thing immediately after night one.
Yeah, I was feeling like four losses was a little bit exaggerated, thinking I might be somewhere, maybe closer. You had only had three losses, so I don't think either one of us expected to be in such good shape before we head into tomorrow.
Yeah, the only trade-off we had really was Clemson, beating Kentucky, which I think Kentucky was picked to lose in that game anyway. But then Ole Miss comes back and wins, according to the Kim Pom projection against Louisville. I mean, those games happen in different orders, but that was the trade-off for the night there, where I think the SEC actually gained a game against the computer tonight. It should have been like 8-2, if I'm remembering how the Kim Pom projection was. But yeah, wild performances tonight. Let's go through some of these because there were some big results that we need to get to. We can finally breathe in Fayetteville. And that's not just about basketball, folks. Arkansas beats Miami 76-73. It was a tough stretch for the Razorbacks in this one. One where Miami led the whole way until the last couple of minutes there. Maddie, what were some of your thoughts for the Arkansas Miami game as the Razorbacks win this one by 3 points?
Yeah, so this game was hard to watch. After a long day at work, you just don't want to see your team get absolutely handed over in the first half. So what I'm assuming happened, Hogs got on a flight a couple days ago to go down to Miami. They left the luggage that had the defense in it, and they had to overnight ship it to get back to Miami, and it didn't make it till the second half. Because, we're used to seeing a great Hogs defense and a kind of iffy offense, but today was like opposite night because he had the defense that didn't show up, but we finally learned how to make some shots. So second half came out, you're making shots, and the D came to play. It's like the Hogs are finally starting to put it together. We started to see flashes of the Nelly Davis that the Hogs planned to come from FAU. We got some additional minutes and some decent contributions from Jonas Adu as well. And then Boogie Fland, have a night, sir. Boogie Fland just absolutely dominated tonight. Boogie Nights are here, and we are pumped. He showed everyone why he was the number one recruited point guard of this freshman class.
Yeah, for about 30 minutes of this game, I was ready to start screaming. I really was. It was there was a lot going through my head. I was pretty upset. I was like, this is ridiculous. This is a team that you should be beating pretty thoroughly right now. Miami does have a good offense. That is one thing to note here. But I expected a little bit more at Arkansas's defense. I agree with you. But this game kind of played out kind of how we were talking about it in a way. Sure, we didn't expect Miami to be leading the entire time, but we said it would be a fight. We said it would be uncomfortable. We said it wasn't going to be just this game that we all wanted it to be. When Arkansas played good defense and got out and played fast, they looked like Razorbacks. Like they hit the expectation there. Razorbacks played bad defense in that first half. They let Miami get whatever they wanted. It looked like ACC basketball. Second half, Razorbacks are trying to get back into this game. Miami is answering right back. It's looking a lot like the Illinois game. But this game really started, changing when Arkansas just started grinding on the defensive end. And at that under 8 timeout, in the second half, they started getting some stops. They forced a few turnovers. They got on a run finally. You get to the under 4 timeout. It's a 2-point game. You keep going back and forth, but you could see the moment. You could see the moment. Boogie Fland is wide open for a three. He sinks it. Razorbacks have their first lead of the night. And they don't give it up. Miami has a late look, can't hit. Calipari finally has something of a good win now with the Razorbacks. I think this win will age well, better than where it currently sits in the net, unless Miami just completely, falls apart here because of this losing streak they're on. But you could tell that this Miami team is much better than what their record is. It was like I was saying in the preview. I think Miami is yet to play their best basketball, but you could kind of see that ceiling for Miami is certainly higher than where everyone is kind of having them projected at. Big notes in this one: Janelle Davis, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. Please keep doing that. Please. DJ Wagner, 14 points, 5 assists, 2 steals. He had some good drives to the baskets, which we said he needed to do tonight. And then Boogie Fland, like you were talking about, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Great night from him. Of course, had the go-ahead 3-point shot when a Duthero found him and open in the corner. Arkansas went 48.4% from the field. They hit 11 3-point field goals at 47.8%. I thought this team couldn't shoot. And then 48.7% from two. That's kind of what we were thinking we could see a little bit more from Arkansas from a production standpoint. Obviously, Adu and Big Z, both keeping them healthy would be helpful. Z had a little bit of an injury issue tonight. He wasn't at 100% in his game. We saw some minutes from Jonas Adu. Just he gave some contributions, some help there. But what we're seeing from this team tonight is closer. You just now want to see this with a healthy roster for a full 40 minutes. Like that's the difference right now for this Razorback team. And I also need people to see the shot chart on this game because it's wild. Arkansas in the first half looks like an Eric Musselman team shot chart. The shots are coming from all over the place in the mid range. You're using areas of the court that are least efficient. And then the second half, the shot chart looks like something that UConn and Purdue tries to do. Threes, paint, quality mid range shot, utilization of the elbow. The shot selection drastically improved in the second half, which is another reason we saw an offensive turnaround. Once that defense started to come along for the ride, that's when Arkansas really had the chance to come through and win this game. That's what I saw in this. And if you're Arkansas, you just really hope, number one, you're glad to finally have this win because speaking as not just a basketball perspective, things have not been good in Fayetteville, and Arkansas fans really needed something good to happen tonight. It would have been a meltdown here in the Ozarks, absolutely, if they had lost this game tonight. Great to see them win this one, 100%. It felt much better. It's a game that you really need. Now you hope that you keep that momentum, get this team a little bit healthier, especially as you head toward the Jimmy V Classic against Michigan. That's going to be your next big test and your last real big opportunity of the non-conference to take home a good win. That's going to be a big challenge when you have that one. Let's go on to the game that we just got done watching. Whew, Maddie. I mean, this game tonight between Kentucky and Clemson, it was Mark Pope's first road test of the season. Kentucky came into this game undefeated, and like we were talking about, it was going to be a rowdy crowd in Clemson. We were going to learn more about this team from this Clemson game than we were from the Duke game, and it was going to be a tough, tough contest. Now, we both picked Clemson, or we both picked Kentucky in this game. We both turned out to be wrong, but we also did make note that this is a game that could go either way. Kim Palm agreed with us on that one, and Clemson takes the win 70-66. Fans storm the court because, of course, that's what happens in a game like this when you beat a top 5 team. Maddie, your kind of feelings, your thoughts on this Clemson-Kentucky game?
Yeah, so I usually try and tune the commentators out as much as possible, but at the
Or
end of
Jimmy
the
Dykes?
at the end of the game, one of the things I really noted and, really noticed throughout the game, one of the commentators said that the crowd was about to carry this Clemson team through the last minute and 3 seconds or whatever was left on the clock. And that's really, I think, what pushed this Clemson team through because you would have notes where I even texted you at one point and said, I'm pretty sure Clemson's about to crash. And it was just like they would get a momentum play and just keep going. And they would go on another run. Kentucky would go on stretches where they would get a run, and then they would go on stretches where they couldn't buy a bucket. So it was a lot of back and forth in this game, and I said it when we were talking about national title contenders. There's just something inside of me that says this system is not going to work against everybody. Mark Pope's a great coach. They've got a great program going, but there's going to be nights like this where you have moments you can't buy a bucket, and that's not going to carry you through to this game. And I think that really showed through in this Kentucky Clemson game.
Yeah, they absolutely could not buy a bucket, and you're right. It was punch, counter punch. There were, 14 lead changes in this game, and that 14th lead change was the one where Kentucky, just could not get the lead back from Clemson in this one. And it was tough. It was an absolutely tough game. What made a big difference to me when you want to turn to that first half, Clemson played a nearly perfect first half. And I texted you that it's like they're getting open looks. They're looking really good right now. Kentucky's defense is not responding. They are not giving, these are the looks Clemson wants to get. And they're playing an ACC brand of basketball right now. This is how ACC basketball normally looks. And that's exactly what they did. On the defensive end, Clemson's running Kentucky out the 3-point line. Then Clemson's getting back because they're making shots and they're setting their defense on every possession and they're ready to go to face that zoom action that Mark Pope likes to run. Beat the heck out of the Wildcats in the first half on the glass. Kentucky got murdered on the glass, straight up. Clemson was plus 10 total, +6 on the offensive glass, and Ian Shefflin had 13 rebounds on his own in the first half. He got done tonight with 20 rebounds. He was a point away from a double-double in that first half as well. But yeah, it was back and forth, and eventually Kentucky just went ice cold. Absolutely ice cold from three. They shot at one point 28.6%. That really stung to them. I will say, as crazy as this game was, eventually Kentucky got a look. They got to look there late. Away's open in the corner. He's got a chance to pull this game in with two, and he just misses the 3-point shot. Now, remember, I said that we would learn more about Kentucky in this game than we would against that Duke game, and there's a real difference going on between a neutral site matchup against the team who's going to put the ball in the hands of a freshman in one of his first big basketball games versus a game where you have a guy like Ian Shefflin pushing his home team and his home with his home crowd across the finish line in a really, really big basketball game. And it was seniors and older guys, a lot of veteran leadership really stepping up for Clemson at the end of this game. But what I did learn about Kentucky, this team has fight. They could keep in the fight when their backs are against the ropes. They can keep pounding. They could keep trying to get through. They're good enough to get a win in this conference on the road. They're going to be fine, and this is going to be a learning experience for Kentucky tonight. All right, next one. KenPom gave Tennessee a 20-point advantage coming into this game, and Tennessee beat Syracuse by more than that. Volunteers win it 96-70. Maddie, obviously, this was a game that we were like, yeah, Vols win. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, a dominant game by the Bulls, pretty much, like you said, what we expected. Huge night from Chaz Lanier with 26 points. We had 5 balls in double digits, and we're starting to see a little bit more of Igor Milicic coming out of his shell with the double-double tonight. So definitely some solid points. There was a lot of energy in this game. I feel like it's hard to kind of keep up that energy when you're holding such a big lead. But the Vols pushed this one through to the end. They kept it entertaining the whole game. So, I think there's something to be said about that they're not going to let some of these games that people may consider cupcakes, um, get away from them and possibly creep up and bite them. No, they were full force in that game. Ready to prove who they were.
Yeah, no, Igor Milicic, just a very smart basketball player, does a lot of the little things right every time. He's a piece of what makes this Tennessee team have a very, very high ceiling here this season. And you got Chaz Lanier leading in points. You got Ziegler, who knows the offense, knows the standard, what Rick Barnes, what's going on. And then Milicic is the guy that, no one has a good answer for with his offensive game. He's tall, he's a 7-foot guy out there shooting threes on occasion. He gets the job done in different ways, and he really raises the ceiling for this Tennessee team. It was an incredibly efficient night offensively for the Volunteers. Tennessee is a flat-out dangerous team when they get this hot. Over 50% from the field. They hit 10 3-pointers tonight. They cleaned the glass at plus 14. You can win every time doing that. Well, 60% of the time it's going to work every time. You know what I'm saying? Like this is basketball. But overall, if you play like this, you're going to win basketball games. And that was a very efficient effort tonight from Tennessee. You're right. It was kind of, even though it wasn't the greatest stat sheet of all time, it was really a standout game for Igor Milicic when you kind of broke it down, especially there in that first half. This was a blowout. It was supposed to be a blowout. Well done by Tennessee. All right, Maddie, this was a game that we disagreed on. We had different picks on the Ole Miss Louisville game tonight, and this was a game that we thought would be much, 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 much closer in this one. But Ole Miss goes on the road and beats the crud out of Louisville, 86-63. Maddie, some of your thoughts on this game with Ole Miss and Louisville?
I mean, Ole Miss was just on tonight. You look at some of these starters and then some of the bench positions as well, and you've got guys scoring in the double digits. You've got guys getting almost double doubles with their rebounds, with some assists. You got Sean Padula getting major assists, 16 points. Dre Davis with 20 points. Jalen Murray with 10. Matthew Morrell only had 8. I was kind of shocked. He was kind of maybe the glue guy more so in this point than out there scoring points, which is something we're not really used to from him. And then you've got guys off of the bench contributing. So I think that's what really stood out to me in this game because, we kind of tend to see, at least lately in the games, a lot of these same players kind of outstanding for this Ole Miss team. But today it seemed more like, other guys were getting in there and filling up the stat sheet that we're not used to seeing. So I think that was kind of the unprecedented factor that we didn't see, with Ken Palm in this game where they thought it was going to be closer than what it was.
Yeah, tonight every starter was in double digits except Dia, and then Barnes off the bench picked up 11. It was the thing was never close tonight. Like honestly, you go through the stat sheet and you tell me where this game was ever a contest. Ole Miss was almost 57% from the field in this thing. They shot 40% from three. They lit it up. And then you're talking about a team that was plus 10 in fast break points, was plus 22 in the paint. And then they also in the Steelers game they stole the ball 8 more times than Louisville. They moved the ball better than Louisville. The only thing they didn't win was the glass. That's it. They won the free throw line. Like this thing was never close. It was never competitive. Ole Miss got out in front and never let go. And this was a chance for them to get a huge win, and they did their job. It goes back exactly to what a lot of people are talking about it right now, but it goes back exactly what we were talking about in the preseason. Ole Miss at where they're at right now with Chris Beard. Chris Beard's track record in year two is pretty consistent, and this is starting to remind people of his second year in Texas Tech. Well, I'm telling you that this track record goes back further than Texas Tech. It goes all the way back to his days of coaching at Angelo State. And year two is normally an excellent year for Chris Beard. Got a really good win on the road tonight against what's expected to be one of the better teams in the ACC right now. Yeah, Ole Miss is darn good. This is an impressive breakout moment for them, you would hope. And Ole Miss, yeah, really got the job done tonight with a quality win. Other results from the challenge this evening. When you go down the scoreboard here, first off, wow, yeah, no, the SEC just wins it all. That's just kind of what our expectation is at this point. But yeah, looking at the rest of the results from the challenge, we're looking at South Carolina beats Boston College 73-51. Missouri wins 98-93 over Cal. Georgia beats Notre Dame 69-48. Nice. Texas A&M beats Wake Forest 57-44. LSU beats Florida State 85-75. And then Oklahoma, after being down for a while, comes back and beats Georgia Tech 76-61. Maddie, any of those scores stand out to you?
The biggest thing is that we had so many dominant games from the SEC. 4 out of the 9 that have already been played won by 20 plus points. I mean, we expected some interesting games, but I was not expecting this many blowouts, if you will. So I think that's just an attest to what we've been saying throughout this season of how good the SEC is going to be this year.
Yeah, the one result that stands out to me is really the Missouri Cal game. A, that game's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. And B, that first half could not have gone worse for Missouri. So for them to come all the way back there in the second half and come out and pull up this win, it was a really good result in the second half and one that was really needed because Cal stinks, and I'm just shocked that this game was as close as what it was. It should have never been close. Also, in this game, we got a weird Chris Webber moment. For those of you who are too young to catch that reference, you can't call timeout when you don't have timeouts left. Otherwise, it's a technical foul. That's exactly what Cal did tonight. Cal pulled a Chris Webber in this game, so that one was pretty wild. South Carolina getting the win against Boston College was much, much needed. They still got to find some better wins than that. But overall, win the ones you need to win, and that's going to help things quite a bit. All right, guys, I don't know if Maddie's going to be with me tomorrow night. We'll see.
See how my morning goes.
We'll see how coffee and another nap time goes. Yes, she took a nap after work today.
I did not because I got home too late.
Oh,
So
no.
had to jump right into basketball. For those of you who don't know, I have the schedule of a grandma. I'm usually in bed by like 9:30. So this is like extra for me.
Well, everybody's, drinking their morning coffee right now while, we're recording a show at 11 o'clock at night this evening. So, is what it is. But yeah, no, the SEC with a big lead right now in the challenge. It's already over 9-1, SEC over ACC with 6 games to go. I will be here tomorrow night to talk about a little bit of the second night in the challenge. And then we'll be back sometime Thursday night to talk about your weekend upcoming and preview those huge games, and we'll put a bow somewhere in the rebound on that. So we hope you guys please like and subscribe. Join us for the next one, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Share in the comment section how you felt about the SEC's dominance and how your team's performance went. We'd love to hear from you guys, and we'll catch you guys very, very soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.